Tonight I'm privileged to have Dr. Mark Matunga, a senior political analyst. We are here to look at the state of the nation and the road to 2027 elections, Kenya under Ruto. That is what we are here to look at. How are you, Daktari?
Pleasure.
Pleasure.
Pleasure to be here.
Yes.
Actually, Mr. Ogweno, I'm wondering, when I actually became a senior political analyst, I can't quite remember. I mean, my strength is in IT, so I'm more comfortable in the computing world. But nonetheless, I'm not afraid to be a political analyst. I share my mind. I've been in the trenches of politics for quite a bit of time in Kenya. I am a student of politics. I study politics. I understand politics. I know that politics actually has a lot of bearing to anything and everything else that we do. Actually, do you know, if it's from politics, that it can be determined whether you are a Kenyan or not? You know, it's politics. So that's why I do have a bit of interest there. But it's a pleasure to be here, and it's a beautiful hotel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Silver Springs.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And the bench hot?
The bench is not just hot. The bench is extremely hot. It's extremely hot, and it's an honor to be here.
Yes.
And I think that you're doing a good job in informing Kenyans and the world.
Thank you.
And that is the pride that I have in terms of promoting technology that we have promoted. And we have devolved and liberalized platforms for information.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for accepting my invitation to come and speak to the people.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm one of the people. I watch this. I watch
Thank you.
the bench quite a bit.
We say yes.
I watch the people's bench.
Thank you.
Yes.
We appreciate it. Now, straight to the point, Daktari. We are heading to 2027 elections.
So is that the point?
Section.
Is that the point?
I'm coming to it. A section of our opposition leaders, led by Rigathi Gachagua, are in the U.S. How significant is the U.S. community or Kenyans living in the U.S. to our politics?
You know, Ogweno, I'm one of the privileged people who went to school in the U.S., who studied in the U.S., who has worked in the U.S. for a number of years. Part of my family is there. When I came back to Kenya, I still got a job with a U.S. company that was Microsoft. I worked for Microsoft for 10 years. Then I got a job with another U.S. company that is Intel. I worked with Intel for 5 years. Then I left and set up my own company, which is registered both in Kenya, in other parts of Africa, and in the U.S. So I go to the U.S. quite frequently, even after I lived and went to school there and worked there. I go to the U.S., I think, a minimum of maybe about 2 or 3 times a year, and frequent that sort of market. So I understand when somebody says that, you know, he's going to the U.S. to meet Kenyans there. And I also understand the significance of the optics that actually, the signal that is sent from the U.S. To this place. But I also want to address the fallacy around that, because we look at the U.S., the mighty dollar, where a country where we actually extract values around democracy, rule of law, and governance, and all of such. But Rigathi and Matiang'i going to the U.S., and I'll give you an example using you. It's like you deciding that, hey, I'm going to the U.S., and then you organize with your friend in the U.S. or your relative in the U.S., please invite for me some Kenyans so that we can do nyama choma with. And of course, you know, you have come as a guest, and I've had many of those opportunities where my friends in the U.S. organize several meetings with his or their friends and relatives to just, you know, sit around and have a meal or have discussions. I've been back there. I've gone to churches. I've spoken in churches. I've been there. I've spoken in schools and colleges. I was once privileged to give a speech at Harvard. So it makes a lot of sense for an aspiring politician to actually go there and have a meeting with Kenyans and send those optics home. Because when those optics are sent home, it appears that, you know, the most senior democracy, or people who live in a much more superior democracy, has now endorsed you, so you can come back here and win an election. Or there is the expectation, which is also a fallacy, that there's some money that will come from the diaspora, the people who live in the U.S., that actually can come and run, help someone win an election. I can confirm to you that for the most part, it's not true. The amount of money that actually come from the U.S. cannot even run one political event for the most part. But the optics is what is important here. And you saw even with regard to Gachagua that for the most part, you know, there are churches in the U.S. that is only attended by Luos. It's only attended by Kisis, and only attended by Luyas or Kikuyus. There are such churches. They are there.
And they preach in their own mother tongue?
Yes, they are there. They are there in the U.S. So I can go there as, of course, as Subas, we are not many, but I can go there and go to a church that actually, of course, they translate, that preaches in both Luo and English, just attended by Luos. So nobody stops you from actually doing that. So when you see Gachagua going to a church that basically just a Kikuyu church in Boston, or a Kikuyu church in some other place, or Matiang'i going to, I think there are quite a number of Kisis in Texas, and a good bit of Kisis also in New Jersey, and of course spread all over the place. It is possible that you can go there and sit like you're talking to a big crowd or talking to a church, but you're just talking to some members of your community. But so, hii uongo ya kwenda America to pick blessings and come and load it on us Kenyans. We are smarter than that.
Yes, Dr. I hear you. Before we move forward, the concern here among Kenyans is, yesterday we saw it in one of the TV channels here, a young lady taking Rigiji to task and telling him right on his face that it would have been much better if you spoke in a national language. You've said that Kenyans even have churches where they preach in their local languages. What does this speak about Kenyans in diaspora? Are they as divided just as they are here back at home?
I don't think that Kenyans, even in diaspora, having churches that actually are more aligned to ethnic construct is a bad thing. That is not a bad thing. Even here in Kenya, we do that, and plus, it does not require somebody in the U.S. to tell Rigathi Gachagua that you're a tribalist. I mean, of course, luckily, because it was in the U.S. and the lady is trending, and that's a good thing. But how many times has he been told in Kenya that you are a tribalist? So it's just basically those bad manners of tribalism that he's picked from here and taken there. But, you know, Ogweno, also give it to Rigathi that if you have gone there and you are sitting around or you're meeting people from Luo Nyanza or from your county and you're meeting with them, nothing stops you from actually speaking in your language. It's not a bad thing.
But let me ask
the lady, the girl was addressing something bigger than just Rigathi talking in Boston in his Kikuyu language. The message was the Kenya situation. That you are actually, because the way I understood her, you are isolating Kikuyus from the rest of Kenyans. And you're promoting the tribal agenda, up to including you coming here and just meeting with us as Kikuyus. That is what you're doing at home, and it's a bad thing. And so it doesn't matter wherever he's doing it, but the fact that those optics are supposed to be sent here, that is what the lady was actually addressing. But going to the US or going to the UK to actually meet your kinsmen and having a conversation with them is not a bad thing. But to think that that is going to actually convert into a huge political wave here to actually enable you to ascend to presidency, jaribu.
I think, Dr. if we are looking at a national leader, take, for example, Kenyans living in the US, you've lived there, and you heard that a Kenyan, one of the leaders has come to the US, and that you'd want to be updated and know what is happening back at home. Do you have to wait, if you are a Turkana, for example, for a Turkana leader to come and update you on what is happening back at home, so that every community will be expecting their leaders to go there and update them on what is happening?
Ogweno, let's move away from this fallacy today of thinking that if I go to the US and meet with the people in the US, I'm going to actually update them on what's happening in Kenya. Because technology has made this possible. You can see and hear what's happening in Kenya real time when you're in the US. Because even like now, we are live. Anybody in the US can tune in to us sitting here at Silver Springs Hotel. I forget the other name, Muthus. Yes. Muthus Silver Springs Hotel, where we're actually having this conversation, and be able to actually understand and see live. So it doesn't require me to actually get on a plane to get there and go and update them. So let us also move away from that conversation, because the world is already flat. Information basically is on real time. Anybody who is in the US waiting for Ogweno to go and update me, or a Mark Matunga to go and update me, is a joker.
I hear you. Let's move forward to matters education. You are privileged to have gotten good education all the way up to the US. I want us to talk about President
No. Get that right. Even here in Kenya,
yes,
there's good education.
Here, you started here.
I disagree, Ogweno. You know, this thing that people think that when you go to the US, you get better education.
Why did you go there when we had the university?
No, but you see,
you could have studied here.
No, but I had the opportunity. But
there were also opportunity here in our local universities.
No, there was not opportunity for me to actually go. By the way, let me give you an example. When I went to the US, my daughter, my eldest daughter, started with class 2 or grade 2. And she was the only black child there in that school. We were in New Hampshire. And you remember, in fact, to my surprise, she used to be top 3, top 5, and at times top 2 in her class. That tells you that the rigor of education that we are having here in Kenya is not bad. I'll give you my other real example today. I told you that some part of my family is in the US. My daughter got a job and has been working with a company that required them to actually take certification tests so that she could do what is required of them. You have to be certified to actually be able to do what they're supposed to do. And they've been doing this with they have about 3 exams to actually take. And she was the only one from Africa because she went to school here. And then she got a job there. And remember that the first exam, only 4 passed. And she was among the 4. The second exam, only 5 passed. She was among the 5. What does that tell you about our education here? That should tell you something. But anyways, you go ahead and ask your question. I just wanted to actually explain that the rigor of education here and the quality of education here is quite good. As somebody who actually has been in both worlds, yes, and been educated in both worlds. But what was your question about education? That was what your question.
Yes, now that you've touched on it. Actually,
no. So go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, I'm coming there now, but there is something that you've touched now that makes me ask you about the inequality. Look at the public schools. I'm very I could presume that maybe your daughter was privileged to have gone to a private school, and if not a private school,
No.
look at, I'm just coming there, the confusion in the CBC. Most the privileged leaders and those who have money would not even trust their kids with our public schools. They do international curriculum, and when the results come out, they're able to run to America and other big schools.
I think we just need to get certain things right in our education system. I support the government's effort around CBE. You call it
Yeah,
CBC.
it's now CBE.
And for a very long time, and this is where I disagreed with the ministry. And of course, if you go back to many of my clips when I used to also share my thoughts around issues education, I said that we should not be calling this an education system CBC. CBC is basically competency-based curriculum. That's basically a component of CPE, competency-based education. And that's the formation of education that actually really makes sense in the world of today. Yes, I agree with you, because our education system was an education system that was based on teach to test. So you teach these kids so that they can actually pass this exam. And for a very long time, that is actually, education system, be it for 844 or the other system. It was just basically teach to test. CBE brings a completely different dynamic in education. Basically, you are supported to pursue a pathway that actually meets your competencies, your interests. Something that actually you can pursue, whether it is sports, whether it is arts, whether it is science, and all of that. So it brings a completely different dynamic in the education flavor. And then it is one of those education systems that tend to actually bridge the gap of, regardless whether it's a private school or a public school, because then you're dealing with the innate values, the internal values, the internal capacity or competency of a person, and it doesn't matter sort of like the environment. So that will actually really help deal with that sort of situation. I am one of the privileged guys who took my children to public school. But then later on, I did something quite dramatic that I don't think any parent would dare do, and I even do it now. I decided to actually take my children to online school. Being a technologist, then why not? That's what I decided to do, and my children actually go through online school, including my son right now. So the fallacy of private school and public school will sort of not really play out so strongly that private school is better than public school, especially in the CBE. The CBE is a formation of education that is helping to actually really balance balance this disparity, and I think that to me will be a game changer. Yeah.
I hear you, but until when? We have always consistently seen this gap, Daktari. Until when are we going to sort out this mess?
But we're sorting it out now. The current government is sorting it out.
It doesn't seem like a government that cannot fund free primary education, free second education.
Ogweno, now you're going into propaganda. I didn't know that you want to appear like you're a propagandist.
So you've not heard this, Daktari?
I don't have to hear anything. I understand.
No, you did not come from America.
No.
This morning you've been here.
I know.
You heard CS Mbadi says that government can no longer have enough money to send over 22,000 capitation funds per kid in secondary schools.
And that is correct.
But Kibaki did it.
No. So let's get this right. That is why when educated and enlightened people like you start running with propaganda, it then becomes a problem. And that is what feeds into the mind of Kenyans. What Mbadi said is perfectly correct. Because Mbadi says that, according to him, they proposed to National Assembly a budget of 22,000 capitation per child. And what National Assembly approved was 17,000 per child. Remember, I'm keen on education, funding of education per child. And that is in the context of what you call free education.
Actually subsidized,
K-12.
it's not even free.
Yeah, it's subsidized. And so he said that if that is the case, then the government cannot continue to support this subsidizing of education. That's what he said. And I think we should have listened a little bit more. If you asked me, it's a joke to even start thinking that to fund free education, it's 22,000. In the world of today, in the economy of today, it should be a minimum of 50,000. So forget about this debate. That's why I'm calling it propaganda. Forget about this debate of 17,000, 22,000. It should be at a minimum of 50,000. And where I think government should actually, and parliament, should start looking at education seriously is when they're doing budgeting. How do you actually go about, which areas should you prioritize? The first item that should be prioritized is education, and give it enough money so that we don't come around spreading propaganda like you're attempting to do, that Mbadi announced this, and that. They should actually be putting 50,000, a minimum, and that number should actually be growing. And the funding should be per student, not per school. It is per student. The money should follow the student, and that is when it will be taken seriously. So fund education, fund health, and let's blame Parliament. Don't even blame Mbadi. And then you said something that I need to correct.
Yes.
You said that Kibaki did it. How so wrong? I mean, this is also a big hoax. When Kibaki said that primary education is supposed to be free, that is all he actually said. And remember, for the most part, it was even free. And Kibaki only spoke about primary education, where you are walking from your house, from your home to the school. So how much money did Kibaki put in? I mean, nobody can actually tell me exactly how much did Kibaki put in. Because here I was walking from my home to the school and back. I was not even eating in the school. Were we even eating in the school, in the primary school? No. So Kibaki did not even fund secondary. We are talking of secondary education here, where you have to eat in the school, you sleep in the school, you need to be supported in this school. And so the cost of that is much higher than what you guys run around with. This Kibaki supported this, Kibaki supported this. But what's any propaganda that you're peddling around?
Whether you call it propaganda, whether you call it truth, does not matter to that poor parent at home whose daughter, whose grandson has been sent home for 1 month, and teachers are saying that they have not received capitation
That
funds.
is why you have heard me say the problem is in Parliament. The problem is not even Mbadi. In fact, Mbadi is telling us the reality. It's the people that you've elected. And actually, part of what we need to do, you should be asking me, what do we need to do? Number one, I've told you, capitation should be raised to 50,000 a minimum. Number two, there is all these bursaries. Bursary for the governor, bursary for member of parliament, bursary for MCA, bursary, so that they make our parents, they make our children go kneeling to them, so that they actually can give a bursary of 2,000 here, 5,000 here, 10,000 here. All that money, all those bursaries should be scrapped, and that money taken to treasury and sent to the student, so that as poor student, a poor mother, do not have to actually go and bow to a member of parliament. Do you know how worse this thing also actually plays out? Whereby, if you are from so-and-so family, you guys didn't vote for me, so you're not even getting this bursary. Do you see the problem that we are facing? With all this nonsense of, every political leader having money from government, which is our tax money. Somebody being given that money to now decide and discriminate upon, oh, that one didn't vote for me, this one didn't vote for me, or that family didn't vote for me, so that they don't even get. So that we then become, we turn our children, our parents, into beggars. I'm talking as somebody who was educated by the community.
Thank
I was
you.
fundraised for.
Thank you.
To go to school.
Thank you.
And so I'm thoroughly passionate about this. I have built schools. I can count more than 20 schools that I've built, partly with my money, partly with money that I've raised. And that is why one community in Gwasi, which is basically away from my constituency, we decided to name one of the public schools Mark Matunga Secondary
Wonderful.
School. So I know what I'm talking about.
Congratulations for that.
I
Atari.
know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Nobody can actually challenge me on matters education.
Congratulations
Because
for that.
I know what it means to be poor,
Yes.
and I know what it means to actually have. And my brother, it is not, I mean, there are a number of requests that I get for school fees. That is why when people talk of free primary education or free education, I'm wondering, when is it free? Because our parents, our children, suffer. Whenever I go home, there is a number of children that come to me, or primary school, oh, that we need this much money, we need this much money, we need. And so you wonder, is it even free at the primary school? So let us not joke with education. But one of the things that needs to be done, capitation needs to move to at least 50,000, and these bursaries should be scrapped, and that money put back to Treasury, so that Treasury can actually allocate that money per student, whereby no student should go kneeling to an MCA, a member of parliament, or a governor to dish out bursaries for them. They're dishing out our own money.
Thank you, Dr.
That is what we need to address.
Thank you.
Not even body.
Thank you. In the economy of time, let us touch a bit on politics. The future.
But this is, we've been talking politics. What have we been talking about?
Now we come to politics of political parties.
When,
Daktari.
The bench is getting hotter.
Have you been a member of ODM?
I need water.
Yeah, it is Daktari.
I was a member of ODM.
Yes.
I was a member of ODM.
What happened?
No, I decided to move to the current ruling party, and that is UDA.
So you are part of the problem Kenyans are facing. I hear them saying outside there.
So is UDA a problem?
I hear one term.
And there's nothing wrong with that, actually. What is wrong with that? The Constitution provides for one term.
So you are going home with your president. Gen Z have said
but
so.
did I ever leave home? Did I ever leave my home?
You're leaving the office.
And Gen Z is another fallacy. But the truth of the matter is, this constitution, this election, we gave President Ruto the mandate for one term. He's going to finish it, and he's done a good job. He's going to actually come and request Kenyans to do another one term. So if you're saying one term, it's okay. He will have one term now, and he will have another one term after he's finished with the current term. So what is the problem with one term?
Irrigate your throat.
So President Ruto, and by the way, Ruto has only worked for 3 years by next month, correct? Because I think he was inaugurated on, is it 13th of September?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in about a month's time, or a little over a month, he shall have finished 3 years.
Anything to smile
And
about?
everything to smile about. Actually, if you look at the most consequential president, in my view, is President Ruto. Do your math. Look at the 10 years, 15 years that Kenyatta was president. Look at 24 years that Moi was president. Look at 10 years that Kibaki was president. Look at 10 years that Uhuru Kenyatta was president. And then compare with 3 years that President Ruto has been in power. That is what you need to actually look at. Not this story yako ya propaganda.
But Kenyans don't think so. Mount Kenya people don't think so.
But that is why you and me, kwani Mount Kenya is the only Kenya. I mean, I'm even shocked that you're bringing that up.
But the president himself said that you gave these are not my words. You heard your president, our president, Mheshimiwa William Ruto himself lamenting that, tell me how I should go, that Kibaki was given 10 years. Uhuru did his part. Why me? Are those my words, Daktari?
It doesn't matter. Why me? Because all of you, especially Rigiji and his people, are trying to tell us that Kenya is burning. But you travel. And you know, you're lucky to actually be in hotels like this, like Muthos Silver Springs. But you also need to travel to other countries. I was just recently in, I shouldn't say this, but let me just mention. I was just recently in Ghana.
I have traveled a bit. Not as much as you've done.
I just recently in Ghana, man. Let's be grateful to God for what God has been able to actually do in Kenya. But then look at President Ruto's track record. You know, when we started, you were one of the few people that were wearing sufurias on your head of Nja.
Me?
Yes. Oh, you didn't. But you saw some people wearing sufurias on their head that there was Nja.
Yeah, I saw them.
Where did that disappear to?
Broad-based.
Because of the work that President Ruto is doing. Food security. There is food on every Kenyan's table. You tell me when Ruto came to power, where was the dollar rate? 160, 170 per dollar. He has stabilized it to 129 for a very long time. One of the things that maybe you don't look at is inflation. But then come back. I mean, inflation has gone back to, I don't know whether, 3%. You're not even talking about that. You're talking of one term.
That's why you are here
which
to
I've
talk
told
about
you,
it. You are the one in government, not
term.
myself. Why should I talk about it?
I'm not in government.
You are a friend of the president.
I support the government of the day, and I support good leaders like President Ruto, to be honest. I support good leaders. Because I've traveled the world. I've seen what's happening around the world. And it is important to actually appreciate the fact that President Ruto has done way better than all the other 4 presidents that we've had, even for a much longer period of time. Kenyatta 15 years, Moi 24 years, Kibaki 10 years, Uhuru 10 years, Ruto only 3 years, and look at the kind of transformation. And one more thing that Ruto has done that I think many of you would not even want to say as I conclude. One great thing that Ruto has done is Ruto has opened up the platform for inclusivity. Forget about the broad-based. Broad-based is basically at a governance structure level. But he's opened up the platform for inclusivity, for every Kenyan to feel that they are Kenyan, regardless of who they voted for. Look at Nyanza, where the president got the least number of votes. The president, even before he went into broad-based government, do you know the first Sunday where he went to? He went to Homa Bay after being sworn in. The first Sunday he went to Homa Bay. And even before broad-based, he started actually doing projects there and all across the country. And of course, that is when some people started complaining, that he is traveling a lot, let him sit here. He even opened up Kenyan's economy, Kenyan's privileges to the people of Kenya, regardless of who you voted for. That is important.
Thank you.
And I want you to actually keep note of that. I mean, what are you thanking me for?
Thank you. We'll talk about it next time when you get more time. Tell me, my final question, is ODM dead? Is it on its deathbed?
ODM? ODM as a political party?
As a political party.
This is also one thing that I want to address. ODM as a political party is Raila. And Raila, Baba, His Excellency, the Prime Minister, is ODM. UDA, which is a political party, is Ruto. And President Ruto is UDA. There is nothing in Kenya like really a political party. There is nothing. I mean, we are not even members of political parties. We are followers of leaders of these political parties. We are followers of Raila. So to me, when Raila ceased to exist, that will be the death of ODM.
Not when Sifuna shakes it from within.
Come on. With these things of Sifuna, that's nothing. What did he shake? I mean, what was he reading yesterday? What did he shake? There was nothing, literally. I mean, the political parties in Kenya is about individual leaders. And the sooner we actually understand and appreciate that, the better for us. So I can tell you for sure, sitting here, I was once a quote-unquote a member of ODM, and obviously a follower, and I still respect Raila Amolo Odinga, and now I'm a follower of Ruto. Yes, I consider myself quote-unquote a member of UDA, but I'm a follower. If Ruto today decides that his party is Sisi kwa Sisi, that will be the party that I belong to because I'm a follower of Ruto. All his followers will turn to that. If Raila today decides that his party is Wow kwa Wow, that is what all his followers will become members of. So asking me whether ODM is dead or not, I mean, no. It's about, is Raila still alive? And God will give him long life. And so ODM will continue in that context. If Ruto is still here. Come 2027, let us wait and see. There might be even a broad-based political party that both Raila and Ruto will actually join, and us as followers, that's what we will basically go to elections with. In any case, that is the trend in Kenya. So come 2027, but I also know that President Ruto will still be able to win to get another one term.
Can you win without Raila support?
I said this at some point when Raila was attempting to be chair of AUC. I was asked in many media houses, is Raila going to actually remain with Ruto if he doesn't win AUC? And I told them, watch this space. Raila will remain with President Ruto. Raila has made a decision to remain and support President Ruto for the good and the benefit of Kenya. And he understands where Kenya is going, and he understands the progress, and he understands the resolve and the kind of leadership of President Ruto. He will remain with President Ruto. But you're asking me, will Ruto win if Raila leaves him? Number one, I don't see Raila leaving him. But if Raila decides to actually make a mistake of leaving him, which I don't think he will, Ruto will still win.
Thank you very much. And thank you so much for watching. That is all that we have had time for. It has been the People's Bench coming to you from Muthu, Silver Springs with myself, Fred Ogweno. It was quite a privilege having this kind of a candid conversation with Dr. Mark Matunga. He says that he's not a political analyst, but a computer guru. But all the same, he has talked politics. Thank you so much, Daktari. That's how you politicians are.
I'm not a politician.
You deny it, but you do it.
I'm not a politician.
You did excellent.
I'm a computer technologist.
Yes.
Or a technology evangelist.
Yes. Thank you so much. That was candid.
Pleasure.
Welcome back to the bench again. Next time, we do it.
But this bench is hot.